This video is going to have a look at an example of how to complete a product matrix multiplication. So the steps to complete a product multiplication matrix. Step 1 will be to confirm that a product matrix does exist. Now a product matrix will exist when we have the same number of columns in the first matrix and the same number of rows in the second matrix. So if you're not sure on how to check for that, go back and have a look at the video introducing a product matrix, and it will explain how to test to see whether a product matrix exists. Step 2 will be to multiply the elements of each row in the first matrix. So we're looking at each row in the first matrix and by the elements of each column in the second matrix. So that will become important when we go ahead and complete our product multiplication matrix. And step 3 will be to add the products of each element together to form the product matrix. So let's have a look at an example of how we can apply a product matrix multiplication. So in the example, we want to determine the product matrix of PQ, and we have a matrix for P and our matrix for Q. Now first we wanted to determine if our product matrix does exist. So to do that, we need to write the order for matrix P and matrix Q. So the order of matrix P is going to be 3 times 2 because we have got 3 rows and 2 columns. And for Q, it is going to be 2 times 3 because we've got 2 rows and 3 columns. So we've got the same amount of columns in matrix P that we do have in matrix Q. So that means we've got a product matrix that does exist. We can also use this information to be able to write down our order for our matrix PQ. And that order is going to be 3 times 3 because we take our rows from our first matrix and our column numbers from our second matrix. So we're going to have a product matrix that is going to have an order of 3 times 3. So let's have a look at how we can complete our product matrix. So to help me complete the product matrix calculations, I've drawn up 2 tables, and each of those tables has elements for 3 times 3, which corresponds to our product matrix order of 3 times 3. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the first column from matrix P, and I'm going to multiply it by the first row from matrix Q. Then I'm going to take the second column from matrix P and multiply it by the second row of matrix Q. So filling in the numbers into each of my tables, my first column from matrix P is going to be 2, -1, and 4. And then my second column from matrix P will be 3, 1, and -2. My first row from matrix Q is -1, 3, and 5. And my second row is 1, 2, and -3. So once I have completed the numbers, I can go ahead and multiply each of my elements. So -1 times 2 is -2, 3 times 2 is 6, 5 times 2 is 10. So completing the table by multiplying each of the elements. And also completing the same for the second table. So 1 times 3 is 3, 2 times 3 is 6, -3 times 3 is -9, and completing the second table as well. So once I've multiplied each element in both tables, I can go ahead and prepare my product matrix multiplication by adding each corresponding element from the tables. So -2 plus 3 is equal to 1, 6 plus 6 will be equal to 12, 10 plus -9 will be equal to 1. 1 plus 1 is 2, -3 plus 2 is equal to -1, -5 plus -3 is -8. -4 plus -2 is -6, 12 plus -4 is 8, 20 plus 6 is going to be 26. So now I have completed my product matrix for PQ by multiplying matrix P and matrix Q together. Using the tables and breaking down the calculations will help you to prepare the product matrix multiplication. So that is an example of how to re-prepare a product matrix multiplication.